Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
All right, let's take it from the top again. Places. Action.
Well, let's see. We have on the bags, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know is on third.
That's what I want to find out.
I say who's on first, what's on second, I don't know is on third.
Are you the manager?
Yes.
You going to be the coach, too?
Yes.
And you know the fellow's name?
Well, I should.
Well, then who's on first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who?
The guy playing first.
Who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
That's it.
That's who?
Yes.
Join us for another voyage back in time on Classic Radio Rewind. From adventures to westerns, from comedy to sci-fi, this is your ticket to Theater of the Mind. Without any further ado, here's your host for Classic Radio Rewind, Barry Slinker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dex Rowe, and welcome to another Halloween edition of Classic Radio Rewind. Classic Radio Rewind is brought to you by the WOTR Radio Network, a network of classic old-time radio stations that are available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, absolutely free of charge. As we continue to celebrate Halloween this month, we will hear from the Fibber McGee and Molly Show from 1939, followed by a 1-hour episode from the Mercury Theater on the Air from 1938. But kicking off this week's edition of Classic Radio Rewind, we're going to hear from an episode from Inner Sanctum Mysteries. On Halloween night, a man is hunted and forced to flee from a man he thought he had killed during a trip in the jungle years earlier. From October 31st, 1949, this is Inner Sanctum Mysteries with Corpse for Halloween.
Good evening, friends. This is your host to welcome you through the creaking door into the inner sanctum. Come on in. One prankish little fellow, whom we shall call Maniac, for lack of a stronger word, just set fire to the walls. He said a closed room made him feel confined. As a result, 4 other characters are slightly burned up now.
Tonight's Inner Sanctum Mystery, Corpse for Halloween, was written by John Robert and stars Larry Haynes in the role of Jimmy with Barry Kroger as Kavanaugh.
And now, let's unhinge our minds a little. After all, what's a little insanity among friends? Tonight's story dramatizes the fanatical hold of memory. The one scene, the one fragment that plays and replays over and over again in your mind. The one terror that's with you when you dine and when you walk and when you sleep.
Sleep. Who can sleep? I'm here in the 35-cent flop, but I'm in the Burma jungle. Watching a scene that never gets stale, even though it's 5 years old. I can hear sounds travel across the brush. I pick them up as if I'm a receiving set. Animal sounds. And I see, as if my eyes are in the sky, I see 2 slim figures standing with their rifles aimed at a pair of jungle beasts. A tiger and its mate in a crouch, ready to jump. They fire point blank together as if by signal. No good. They miss. The beasts roar and leap. I hear them scream out, Kavanaugh and Oxygola. Just before they die. 5 years. And you've been everywhere trying to forget. And you almost do forget. But it edges right back into your mind by itself. Like when a guy suddenly sneaks up on you in the night.
Do you have a match?
What?
Do you have a match?
Oh, yeah, sure. You popped up on me so suddenly.
You're a nervous man.
I
Thank you. I have a parcel with me. For you.
For me? What, are you kidding?
No. I have a parcel for you. Here, take it.
Wait a minute. Hey, wait! But he's gone. Just the way he came. As if he's a chip off my sanity. As if there'd been nobody. But there is a package left with me. The mind doesn't dream up a package. A cardboard box, heavy kind of. And tissue, lots of tissue around something that had the feel of a head. It is a head. The stuffed head of a jungle tiger. Its mouth fixed in a snarl that sends the blood hammering to my head. Doesn't make sense. No good figuring it out. Toss it into the river, box and all, and get away. Get among people. Yeah, Rocco's. Go to Rocco's. Get the jukebox going and slip into a fog. Coffee, Rocco.
Jimmy, I got something for you.
For me, Rocco?
A package. The guy come in before and leaves a package for you. See? For Jimmy Fox. Your name on it.
My name? My name's Jimmy Scott. You know that.
Scott, yes, but the man says your name is also Jimmy Fox. He says he knows.
He knows? I took the package outside into the night, into an alleyway. Another cardboard box, heavy. And tissue, lots of tissue around something that had the feel of a head. It was a head, but not a tiger's this time. It was a human skull. It shone with a hard white light where the moon touched it. And then it seemed to speak.
Do you have a match?
What?
You're being an idiot. It isn't the skull talking to you, it's me.
You? Where are you?
I'm behind you.
I don't see you.
It's because you're afraid to. See me now?
Yeah. A black suit and a face grinning at me like a laughing mask.
It is a laughing mask.
Well, why are you wearing a mask?
Why not? Tonight's Halloween.
Halloween? Sure. Halloween. Not everybody plays jokes. Oh, gosh, I should have remembered it was Halloween.
Can you identify the skull?
Look, what kind of a gag are you trying to...
Suppose I give you an hour to identify the skull. It's 8 now. Until 9 o'clock then, Jimmy.
Wait. Hey, wait. He was gone again. As if there'd been nobody. Just another big chip off my sanity. I really had to get away from myself now. I hit the back streets, and then somewhere a big neon sign across a tenement pulled me off the sidewalk. It read, the Tillery Street Boys Neighborhood Association. Halloween costume ball. Public invited. A girl in a booth, masked like a witch, stopped me at the door.
Mask, mister?
Mask. Oh, sure. Give me one.
Black, green, yellow, or purple? What's your favorite color?
Yellow.
Here you are. 50 cents.
There you are.
Oh.
Oh, what?
Just a description left with me. I'd almost forgotten. Are you Jimmy Fox?
Suppose I was Jimmy Fox. What about it?
This grocery bag was left here for you. A man told me to tell you. You forgot it somewhere. And he said that he'd meet you one place or another later. Here, take it. By the shape of it, I'd say you had a Halloween pumpkin inside.
What if I told you there was a human skull inside that grocery bag? He'd meet me one place or another. He did. He was under a street lamp, waiting for me to happen along.
Hello, Jimmy. Have you dared to call the skull by name yet? Or must I?
Look, that gag isn't paying off, mister. All right, go ahead. You call it by name.
Dolan. Boxer Dolan, remember him?
Never knew the guy. You no doubt got me confused.
Have I, Jimmy? You've changed your appearance cleverly, except for one thing disguise could never conceal.
One thing?
Your guilt. You wear it like a badge of shame.
Oh, what am I guilty of?
Murder. 2 men left an encampment in the Burma jungle just before dawn. 2 men. Boxer Dolan and Kavanaugh. The 3rd man remained behind. He played sick, pretended to fever. The 3rd man was you, Jimmy. Must I tell you the rest?
Tell me the rest.
Dolan and Kavanaugh carried rifles in the event of a jungle encounter. There was a jungle encounter, a tiger and its mate. An emergency, but an easy one to resolve for 2 expert hunters. Just 1 shot apiece, and there'd be 2 more dead tigers. Just 1 shot apiece. They had their 1 shot apiece. But the tigers didn't drop dead in their tracks. Instead, Boxer Dolan and Kavanaugh dropped. Ask me what happened, Jimmy.
What happened?
During the night, someone had emptied their rifle loads and substituted blank bullets. You did that, Jimmy. You engineered the murder of 2 men. You murdered your 2 partners in crime. Just 1 day's push from the Hindu temple you'd all teamed up to loot. They got within 24 hours of treasure, and then you murdered them. 1 more day to the temple, so why split 3 ways, huh?
You know about the temple. But I never pushed on to that temple. No loot, no nothing. How about that?
You lost your nerve. You just hadn't counted on losing your nerve.
What are you, a detective?
No. I'm your 2nd victim. I'm Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh? The Kavanaugh was killed.
Unfortunately for you, he wasn't. I'll show you what I had to survive. Feel my sleeve.
Feel it. It's empty.
Torn out of the socket. Now the face behind this laughing gargoyle I wear. See the left profile. Oh, it isn't pretty, is it? The eye's gone, too. I spent 5 years finding you, Jimmy. I've waited a long time to let you see my face.
You came after me to kill me?
After you've had the same 24 hours you arranged that Dolan and I would have.
What do you mean, the same 24 hours?
Unarmed, in the jungle, and helpless. I'm going to hunt you for 24 hours. In this jungle, the jungle of the city, with every beast of prey I can buy. I'm going to hunt you, Jimmy. And in the end, when I've wrung every suffering from you, I'm going to kill you.
What do you mean? Every beast of prey you can buy.
The denizens of the city jungle, the riffraff, the murderers, the men and women who buy and sell murder. I can afford them, Jimmy. See this, Ruby?
Is it real?
And I have dozens, Jimmy, dozens. I didn't lose my nerve. It's 10 o'clock. You can go now. Go and see if you can escape me and my pack.
You're going through with this?
Get along, Jimmy. Hurry. The beasts will be coming at you from the sewers and the cellars, ambushing you from the shadows, into the dawn and through the day for 24 hours, until 10 tomorrow night. Or you win. You live. Hurry, Jimmy. See how painful death can be.
That Kavanaugh's one fella I never want to hunt me up. No, sir. That guy slays for creeps. 24 hours. Kavanaugh's got 24 hours to kill, and Jimmy has just enough time to die. Yes, you know, Jimmy might win out over Kavanaugh, now that he's got an extra skull to go with the one he's stuck with. After all, 2 heads are better than 1. Let's live out the terror now, shall we?
An animal game of murder for 24 hours. I was to be hunted down in a jungle where human beasts came at you from the sewers and cellars, where killers in the hire of a homicidal lunatic lay in ambush. Well, I had to win. I had to save myself. I had to. Hide. The thing to do was to hide, fade into an alleyway and find a cellar and stay put for 24 hours. Just stay put. With the sickening reek of garbage cans until 10 tomorrow night. Was I alone? Movement. There was a whispering movement somewhere in the cellar. A faint rattle of ash cans as if the wind was rattling them. Wind in an airtight cellar. Hello? Anybody there? No answer. I've been imagining. But then something winged at me, goring into my shoulder, sharp and deadly, like a knife. I came to, bleeding from a shoulder gash. I got out of there and back into the streets, into a jungle of faces. It was Halloween night like I'd never seen it. Masks and costumes on kids of 6 and old crones of 60. A crazy jungle of witches and snarling speak captains and lunatics. They couldn't all be in the hire of Kavanaugh. And then, where a fence was plastered with circus posters of jungle animals, a zany-looking guy was shooting from the hip at the poster while making menacing faces like a bad man. I caught a whiff of powder in the night air. The shot had burned into the poster. I crept up behind him. Faking a gun with my fist in my coat pocket, I rammed against his back. Get him up, pal, reach.
I got nothing in that sentence.
Your gun, I want your gun. Hand it over.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Now walk. Walk up the block and don't turn back to look. I had a gun now, and the tables were turned. I was the hunter now. I drifted to the docks and took up a position with my back to the river.
Thinking of suicide, Jimmy?
Not anymore, Kavanaugh.
You sound as if your morale had suddenly improved.
My morale's going great, Kavanaugh. Your animal hunt's about to boomerang, blow right up in your face like this. Who's hunting who, Kavanaugh? Who's hunting who? Kavanaugh kept standing up. 3 bullets, point blank, enough to blow his head off, but Kavanaugh kept standing up unharmed.
How does it feel to hunt game with blank cartridges like Boxer Dolan and I did once?
Blank cartridges? But that crazy-looking guy, I saw him burn a hole in the circus poster.
Only 1 bullet. The first one was real. Simple?
Yeah, simple. I get it. Dead-Eye Dick was another one of your beasts.
Who's hunting who, Jimmy? Who's hunting who?
Kavanaugh, wait. Kavanaugh, kill me. Get it over with and kill me now, will you? Kavanaugh, you gotta kill me. I had to get out of there. The subway. Yeah, the subway. Fade into the subway. Get on a train and ride to the end of the line. Ride out of the jungle. An empty station. No one in it. No, someone. 2 people. A dapper little guy buried behind a newspaper, and an old lady in ragged clothes carrying a pet half hidden under a coat. A pet that looked like a cat. She came up to me, close, like to ask me something.
This side goes to Lefferts Avenue Station?
Lefferts, I don't know. I'm a stranger here.
Oh, hush, Genevieve. Oh, Genevieve is hungry.
That's not a cat.
No, son. A cub. A tiger cub.
A tiger cub?
Would you like to stroke Genevieve?
No.
Don't run away, son. Genevieve won't hurt.
I ran away with the old crone after me, hobbling in her skirts, and the little dapper guy behind the newspaper circling at me from the opposite direction, cornering me. I jumped to the tracks, my only out, and I ran. I ran deep into the bowels of the subway, deep, very deep, with the little dapper guy after me, as if he meant business. And then the train. It had a Halloween look, too, bearing down on me. An iron face with banjo eyes. I ran against the wall and flattened out. The plane flashed past and the dappling guy screamed. Kavanaugh was shy, one beast in his jungle. The little guy had been hit glancingly and hurled against the subway wall, pulverized. I got to him quickly and frisked him. I had a gun now. A gun with bullets that killed. I ran a half-mile underground to another station, and then back on the streets. Back in the animal game. It was 3 a.m. A neon sign read, Tillery Street Boys Neighborhood Association. Halloween costume party. People were straggling out. The fun was over.
Oh.
What?
You remember me?
No.
I'm the witch who gave you a free mask and a grocery bag that you forgot somewhere. And you're Jimmy Fox.
Jimmy Scott. I used to be Jimmy Fox. Sister, are you all right?
Am I all right?
I mean, are you just what you look? A sweet kid with brown eyes and a heart.
Are you drunk?
No, beat. I'm dead beat. I've got to hole up somewhere, get some shut-eye. I've got to or I'll die.
You're sick?
Yeah, I'm sick. If I could just sleep around the clock until 10 tomorrow night. If an angel came along and said, come home with me, I'll put you up.
Come home with me, Jimmy. I'll put you up.
I fell asleep on a sofa with the gun under my pillow and the girl on a chair watching me anxiously. I had a friend. I could drop off and live in dreamland until 10 that night. At 10, I could wake up and live. Coming awake, I heard the alarm we'd set go off. The alarm stopped. And there was a sound. An animal sound. And then a claw scratching at me, tearing at my cheek. And I jumped up. The girl was gone. A guy was sitting watching me now. A skinny kid with a heavy shock of hair, not a day over 21.
Oh, that's a lousy way to have to wake up from a sleep, pal.
Lousy way. There was an animal clawing at me. My cheek's bleeding.
Genevieve, she isn't housebroken. Still a little wild. You should have seen her dash for the kitchen when you let out a scream just now.
Genevieve. Who are you?
You're Jimmy Fox, huh?
Yeah.
I got something for you.
For me?
Yeah, it was given to me to give to you. Here.
A ruby. Hey, wait a minute, look. It's 10 o'clock. I set the alarm for 10, and it's 10.
Well, it's only a quarter of. That clock's always 15 minutes ahead.
Now the game's over. It's 10, and you can't cheat. I've won, Kavanaugh. You can't go back on your promise, Kavanaugh. You can't.
What are you trying to get over, pal? I don't
I've won. You can't cheat. I won't be tricked.
A gun. Pal, you're crazy. Here, wait, look. Oh!
It's 10, and I won't be tricked, Kavanaugh. I've won. I'm still on the sofa. My arms are rigid, and my legs rigid. Like something exploded inside me and paralyzed my nerves. I can just look and hear. She's in the room now. The girl with a sweet face and brown eyes. Only her eyes are red, swollen from crying. I hear her talking to a cop. He's taking down what she said.
He was a stray. He was like a sick dog in the street. So I picked him up and brought him home.
Yes, why did he kill your brother, Buddy?
I don't know. I was taking a shower, and I heard him scream like a crazy man. I heard him talk all mixed up. But I was taking a shower, and I couldn't get here in time.
There must be something you can tell me, miss.
Oh, officer, everything is so mixed up. At the Tillery Street costume ball, A man gave me a cat with tiger stripes, and he begged me to keep it for him for a while until he found a new home for it. He'd been evicted, he said.
Yes?
Well, then, in the all-night restaurant my brother works in, a man gave Buddy a ruby to give to Jimmy Fox. When he woke up, he told my brother the ruby belonged to Jimmy Fox.
This piece of glass?
Yes.
That's something off the Woolworth time counter. What else?
That's all. Really, that's all.
I watch and I hear. I see through Kavanaugh's trick. Get me crazy, so I'll murder a stranger who called himself Buddy. The brother of a girl with brown eyes and a heart. Frame me, so I'll just want to die. Through weeks of a murder trial, and months in the death house, and 4 minutes in the death chair. I kept listening to them talk. The girl and the cop.
Okay. We'll have to get the rest from Jimmy Fox there. Yeah, look at him. He's paralyzed with fright. I wonder what kind of a crazy Halloween story he's going to try to palm off on us when we get him talking. Captain Devereaux speaking. McAvoy, send a police ambulance to 445 10th Street, apartment 3 rear. And McAvoy, see that a straitjacket's on that ambulance.
Well, quite a chase. It got so poor Jim didn't know whether he was coming or going. Nuts. What got his goat most was the way he kept seeing animals everywhere. Very confusing to a guy on the lamb. Yeah, it got so he couldn't tell who's zoo. Tomorrow? Oh, sure. I read this Halloween notice on a tree somewhere. Never hunt out of reason. Good night. Pleasant dreams.
Inner Sanctum was heard in the United States over CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System, and has been rebroadcast for servicemen and women overseas.
That was Inner Sanctum Mysteries with Corpse for Halloween, as originally heard Halloween night, 1949. Next up on Classic Radio Rewind, we'll hear from 79 Wistful Vista and the Fibber McGee and Molly Show. The McGees dive into fun and games at Gildersleeve's party. Fibber gets his fortune read, Harlow spins a quirky ghost story, and Fibber pulls a prank on Gildersleeve. From October 24th, 1939, this is the Fibber McGee and Molly Show with Gildersleeve's Halloween Party.
The Johnson Wax Program with Fibber McGee and Molly. The makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat present Marion and Jim Jordan as Fibber McGee and Molly with Donald Novis, Bill Thompson, and Billy Mills Orchestra. The show opens with Life Begins When You're in Love. Are the colors of your kitchen linoleum as bright and fresh as the day you first picked it out, or have they become dull and faded? Do you know the easy way to keep the colors of linoleum bright and cheerful? The answer, with Johnston's Self-Polishing Glow Coat. Glow Coat turns a dull, lifeless floor into a beautiful floor in 20 minutes. It requires no rubbing or buffing. That's why it's called self-polishing. And that's just one of the reasons why Glow Coat has become America's #1 floor polish. You can use Glow Coat on your varnished or painted wood floors, too. It gives a hard, gleaming polish that's easy to keep clean and spotless. If you spill something on a floor protected with Glow Coat, you simply mop it up with a damp cloth. Now, if you aren't using Glow Coat on your linoleum floors, order some tomorrow from your dealer. Remember the name GLO-COAT. Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat. There's a gay Halloween party in progress tonight, given by the McGee's next-door neighbors, the Throckmorton P. Gildersleeves. And among the guests, we find many names from Wistful Vista's Blue Book, plus 2 names from Wistful Vista's telephone book, Fibber McGee and Molly.
Well, it's quite a party, ain't it, Molly?
Ah, certainly is, McGee. But stop blowing cigar smoke in my face, dearie.
Oh, excuse me. I thought you'd like it. This is one of the best cigars.
Oh, there, McGee. Hello, Mrs. McGee. Mighty glad you could come over tonight.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gildersleeve. It's a lovely party.
I'll have to hand it to you, Gildersleeve, for thinking up clever games to play.
Clever games?
Yeah, like hiding the cigars. How'd you ever think of hiding them in the bottom drawer of your dresser?
Why, McGee, you had no business snooping in Mr. Gildersleeve's dresser.
Oh, that's quite all right, folks. Always glad to have the guests make themselves at home.
That's what I figured.
If you'd like to check over my last bank statement, McGee, you'll find it in the desk in the library.
You must be mistaken, Gildersleeve. I didn't see it, and I went all through that desk when I was looking for the cigars.
Heavenly days, McGee. Don't be so snoopy.
I ain't snoopy. I'm just alert. Incidentally, Gildersleeve, there's a letter on your desk from your tailor. You mean to tell me you pay $85 for them suits of yours?
Why, yes, I do, McGee.
My goodness. McGee buys 4 of them for that price, don't you, dear?
Is that so?
Oh, sure.
You mean he buys his clothes?
What?
Well, if you'll excuse me, folks, I'll see how the other guests are getting along. Have a good time.
What does he mean, do I buy my clothes? Where does he think I get them?
Well, if you get him where I think he thinks you get him, I think you'll think twice about asking.
You mean you think I don't get
Well,
them?
hello there, Molly. Hello, Fibber. Gee, we're having fun.
What are you doing, Mr. Wilcox?
Oh, playing games. Come on in the other room. Boomer's going to do some sleight-of-hand tricks.
Oh, swell. Come on, McGee.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, for my first astounding bit of wizardry, I take this $5 bill. Don't seem to have a $5 bill. Will someone from the group pass me a $5 bill?
Why, a $5 bill, Boomer? Can't you do it with a 1?
Certainly not. 5 is a magical number. 5 pennies and a nickel, 5 nickels and a quarter, and 5 quarters in a dollar and a quarter. Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Thank you, sucker. Now, watch me closely. Presto, abracadabra, zingo. And the bill has disappeared. Entirely without the use of mirrors or concealed wires. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very good.
Oh, now, quiet, please. Now, with another simple twist of the wrist, I might say a slight pang of regret, I will restore the $5 bill. Presto, abracadabra, zingo. And here, well, must have made a slip somewhere. Can't seem to bring it back.
Oh, no, you don't, Boomer. Fork over that bin.
Come, uncouth. Surely you're not accusing Horatio K. Boomer of chicanery. Have your $5 right here someplace. Now, where can I put that $5 bill? Let me look through my pockets.
That guy's so light-fingered he has to stick his hands under an anvil to get a manicure.
And they better keep an eye on the anvil, too.
Now, let me see. $5 bill, $5 bill. Where can I put that $5 bill? Ah, here it is. No, it isn't either. That's a photograph of my cousin Guernsey Boomer.
Good heavens, bow-legged, isn't he?
Not naturally, my dear, but he's been ridden out of town on a rail so often his knees have lost touch with each other. Now, let me see. Here's an advertisement for asbestos seat covers. Very handy for driving hot cars. Package of corn remover. Here, give some to your scriptwriter. Postcard from Minnie the Moocher. Ha-ha, the dear girl. Says she's now a facial masseuse in Texas. The little panhandler. Small bottle of mint sauce in case I want to take it on the lamb. A check for a short beer. Well, imagine that. No $5 bill. Wonder if it could have blown out the window. I'll blow out the door and see.
automatic phonograph that plays both sides of 12 records without stopping?
Yeah, wonderful, ain't it?
Wonderful. Why, it's almost human.
I'll say it is. Just out of curiosity, I dropped a sleeping tablet in the needle box, and it's been playing A Man in His Dream for 20 minutes.
Well, hello there, Johnny. Hello, daughter. Quite a party, ain't it?
Yes, it certainly is, Mr. Oldtimer.
Hey!
She says, yes, it is. People go to parties for the same reason bald-headed guys go to burlesque shows. They at least have the illusion of letting their hair down.
That's pretty good, Johnny, but that ain't the way I heard it. The way I heard it, the president's secretary said to him, "Say, Mr. Roosevelt," he says, "I haven't seen you made any appointments for next week." "Nope," says Mr. Roosevelt. "I thought I'd do my Christmas shopping early." Well, I gotta go in the other room, Johnny. They're bobbing for apples, and I gotta get my girl out of there. She's a pippin'.
Well, the old coop's on a hoot, ain't he, Molly? If he was ever...
Ah, there, folks. How's everything going?
Oh, just fine, Mr. Gildersleeve.
By the way, when do we eat, Rocky?
Well, we're serving a buffet supper a little later.
Hot dog, you hear that, Molly? A buffet supper.
Oh, that's McGee's favorite kind of a meal, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Yeah?
He goes around a buffet table like Seabiscuit on a fast track.
Well, that's fine, yes. Or is it? But before we have dinner, folks, we're going to have a little more fun. Mrs. Uppington's going to tell somebody's fortune. Oh, yes, they're drawing names in the other room now to see who the lucky man is. Huh? Say, it looks like you're it, McGee. Oh, this should be very amusing.
Yes. It's the first party we ever went to where McGee stuck out his hand instead of his neck.
Oh, here he is, folks.
Oh, there you are, Mr. McGee. I hope you don't mind having your fortune told.
Why, shucks no, Uppy. As the chicken says when he busted out of the egg, I guess the future is worth taking a peep at. Which hand do you want to read?
Well, that depends, Mr. McGee. Are you right or left-handed?
Well, I think he's left-handed. He reached for the lunch check with his right hand today and fumbled terribly.
Well, then give me your left hand, Mr. McGee.
Okay, here you are. Paw, meet Mrs. Uppington. Mrs. Uppington, my paw.
How do you do? I'm very glad. Oh, my, that was a joke, wasn't it? Oh, now wait till I put on my glasses. I didn't have them on the last time I told a man's fortune, and I was horribly embarrassed, you know.
Why, Mrs. Uppington?
Oh, my dear. He had pigskin gloves on, and I told him I could see him lying on a plate with 2 fried eggs and a piece of toast. Oh, you silly guy.
Well, get busy, Uppy. Tell me, pretty gypsy.
Oh, very well. Now, first we come to the matter of intelligence.
Oh, we do, eh? Get a load of this, folks.
The intelligence is indicated by small mounds at the base of the fingers.
What mounds? I ain't got any mounds. Oh.
And now, this line, this is a lifeline.
Well, throw it out. I'm going down for the 3rd time.
Your lifeline tells me that... Oh, good heavens.
What, Mrs. Uppington?
Oh, Mrs. McGee, I regret to inform you that your husband has been dead for 12 years.
Very good, Abigail, very good. Well, folks, we have time for a couple more games before supper is served. Have you any suggestions?
Oh, yes, don't stop.
You know, I think it'd be fun if we turned out the lights and told ghost stories.
Oh, hey, that's fine. That's a splendid idea. Everybody sit down, folks. I'll turn out the lights.
Want me to tell the first ghost story, folks?
Say, what do you know about telling ghost stories, dearie?
Who, me? Why, shucks, I've been an expert on ghost stories ever since I was a kid. Used to give myself the creeps before I could walk. I made quite a study of ghost stories. Got so every time I'd walk into somebody's yard, folks would shake their heads and look grave. Graveyard McGee, I was known as. Graveyard McGee, the gloomiest guy that ever gave goose flesh to a gay gathering with McGorry and gruesome goblin gabbling, getting guys' goats with great gobs of ghastly goings-on, galvanizing groups of gaping greenhorns with garrulous and graphic gibberish, and garnering the greatest bag of groaning ghosts from the gusty gales of the Greenland Sea to the giddy... Ow! Who's pinching me?
McGee, if you know so much about ghost stories, you go ahead and tell one.
Okay, well, now let me think about
Say,
it.
I know one. Shall I tell it?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it happened one night when I was driving through the swamps of Louisiana, when suddenly my engine went dead. And there I was stranded miles from nowhere, and a storm coming up. I had to find shelter somewhere, so I walked up the road to a deserted-looking, ramshackle old house. But before I could knock, the door swung slowly open.
Hey, what's that?
Excuse me, folks. My foot was asleep, and I was straightening out my legs. Go ahead, Johnny.
Well, as soon as my eyes got used to the darkness, I saw a ghostly, shimmering figure. I heard a hollow voice say, "Where's my head?"
Heavens, Mr. Wilcox, weren't you horribly perturbed?
Was I? My nerves were waving back and forth like windshield wipers. But I took myself in hand and I said, "I'm sorry, buddy, but I haven't got your head. Where'd you lose it?" And the ghost said, "Right in this house. I came home one day, and when I saw the kitchen floor looking so dull and dingy, streaked and worn, I flew into a rage.
Oh, sure.
I lost my head and bawled my wife out something terrible. Gee, I wish I hadn't done it, because I know now what I should have done. But by that time, I had the door open again, and I ran like the dickens."
Well, what was the point of that story, Mr. Wilcox?
Well, the point is that if you're haunted by the appearance of dull, faded, hard-to-clean linoleum floors, just try Johnson's Glow Coat. The no-rubbing, no-buffing floor polish that's so easy to use and keeps linoleum looking new indefinitely. And not only that...
Okay. You've pulled the plug, now get out of the tub. Turn the lights on, somebody.
Just a moment, folks. I think supper's ready, so if you want to step into the dining room...
Well, come on, McGee. What are you waiting for?
You go ahead, Molly. I'll be in later. I got something I want to do. Kind of a Halloween gag. Don't say anything to anybody. Now, I'll be back in a little while. Boy, it's dark out here. I'd like to see Gildersleeve's face tomorrow when he looks in his garage. Oh, hey, get away from me. Who's there? Who's that?
Yeah, I bet I scared you, didn't I?
Oh, hello there, little girl. It's so dark out here, I didn't see you. What you doing?
Hmm?
I says, what you doing?
Playing Halloween.
Oh.
have I been having the fun, too. Tipping over garbage cans and soap on windows and scaring people and everything.
Oh, you have, eh?
Sure.
Well, this is the night fork, sis. Incidentally, you know the difference between a ghost and a sailor with a sprained ankle?
No.
Oh, one's a hobgoblin and the other's a gob-hobbling. I says one is a Oh, never mind. You run along and have your fun, sis. I got some private business to attend to.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Never you mind now.
I bet you're gonna ring somebody's doorbell, I bet you.
Oh, no, I ain't.
Oh, yes, you are.
Oh, no, I ain't.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no. Listen, sis. You run along and have your fun, and I'll go and have mine.
Oh, why don't you let me go with you? Please, why won't you?
Dab at it because I can't let you. Don't talk so loud, sis. Now, listen, you know whose garage this is?
Sure. It's Mr. Gildersleeve's, I bet you.
That's right, and I'm Mr. McGee. I live right next door here.
Sure.
I'm going to play a Halloween trick on Mr. Gildersleeve. We don't want him to hear us. Now, look, I'm going to sneak into Gildersleeve's garage and let all the air out of his tires. Will that be a panic, or won't it?
Will it?
Why, sure it will. Boy, when old Gildersleeve comes out in the morning and... Quiet, sis. Now, don't make so much noise.
Gee, you're making all the noise, I bet you.
Oh, well, come on now. If you want to be in on this, help me push this garage door open.
Gee, are we having a fun?
I wish it wasn't so dark in here, but I don't dare strike a light. Now, look, sis. You let the air out of the tires on that side, and I'll do the same on this side. You know how to let the air out?
Sure. I'll let the air out of 5 cars already tonight, I bet you.
Okay, go ahead.
Gee, isn't this a dandy idea, mister?
I thought it was pretty good myself, sis. But don't you ever tell him.
Hey, mister, the tires are flat on this side.
Okay, same here now, sis. Now, remember, this is a secret between you and me.
Yeah.
I got to get back to the party now.
Okay. You know any more riddles, mister?
Huh? No, I don't know any more riddles.
I do.
Huh?
What's the difference between a peanut butter sandwich and a policeman?
Peanut butter sandwich and a policeman. I'm sorry, sis. I'm afraid I don't know the difference between a peanut butter sandwich and a policeman.
Honest?
Yep.
Oh, I guess that's your tough luck then, mister, because here comes the policeman now.
Hey,
come on, mister.
What? Hey, let me out of here.
Folks, Donald Novus sings With a Song in My Heart.
With a song in my heart, I behold your adorable face. Just a song at the start, but it soon is a hymn to your grace. When the music swells, I am touching your hand. It tells that you're standing near. And at the sound of your voice, heaven opens its portals to me. Can I help but rejoice that a song such as ours came to be? But I always knew I would live life through with a song in my heart for you. But I always knew I would live life through with a song in my
Well, have you got your hat, dearie?
Yeah, well, we'll have to go now.
Well, I'm sorry you folks have to leave so early. But I'm mighty glad you could come over.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Gildersleeve. My, it's been a simply marvelous party.
Ah, you betcha, Throcky, old man. You sure know how to throw a party.
Oh, it was lovely. Say good night to Mrs. Gildersleeve for me.
Yeah, me too, Gildersleeve. She's a wonderful cook, that wife of yours. Tell her how we had a terrific time tonight.
I certainly will. I'm sorry she was so busy in the kitchen she couldn't meet any of you folks. But you must come over again sometime.
Oh, could I have my chauffeur drop you somewhere, Mrs. McGee?
Oh, no, thank you, Mrs. Uppington. We just live next door. Well, good night. We've had a wonderful time, Mr. Gildersleeve. Good night.
Good night, Gildersleeve.
Good night, Mrs. McGee. Good night, Fibber.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Boy, what a lousy party.
Heavenly days. Whoever told them they knew how to entertain?
Yeah. Old Gildersleeve and his expensive cigars. Look at him. Dry as a bone. All 10 of them.
Well, I'm going right up to bed, dearie. I'm tired.
Yeah, well, I'm coming up, too.
My goodness, I hope I don't have bad dreams from that terrible food. Did you taste those hors d'oeuvres, Maggie?
Oh, they didn't look tempting to me. Carmen. Imagine that. Imagine old Lady Uppington trying to tell fortunes. I think I'll get her a crystal 8-ball for Christmas.
Now, don't drop your shoes there on the floor, right where somebody will stumble over them.
Oh, well, they're on my side of the bed. I'll be the one to stumble over them.
Hand me my cold cream, dearie.
Okay.
Thanks. Did you notice the cheap towels in the bathroom? They were like limp sandpaper.
Yeah, sure. Hey, you scare me with all that cold cream on your face, Molly. Why didn't you wear that mask to the party? Imagine them old fogies playing post office at their age. There ain't one of them with sufficient postage. What time will I set the clock for?
Oh, not too early, dearie. I'll want to sleep a while in the morning.
Yeah, me too, after a night like that.
That ghost story of Mr. Wilcox.
Yeah.
I'll bet the sponsor haunts him.
The way those people ate. Did you see the old-timer? He was chasing the hammer on like an actor's agent. Hey, this underwear don't fit as good as it did a few years ago, Molly.
It doesn't?
Getting a little snug around the ankles. Where's my pajamas? Oh, here they are.
Hang up your pants.
Oh, I'll hang them up in the morning. Oh, baby, does this bed feel good to Papa? Oh, say, remind me to tell you sometime about the trick I pulled on Gildersleeve tonight, Molly. It was a peach. What a party that was. Good night, Molly.
Good night, dearie. Oh, I wonder who that is at this time of night. 79 Wistful Vista, Molly McGee speaking. Who? Oh, yes. Oh, well, that was real thoughtful of you. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes, we had a simply wonderful time. Yes. Good night. McGee, that was Mr. Gildersleeve.
What'd that stuffed shirt want?
Well, he really did you a favor. He said he forgot to tell you while you were over there.
Forgot to tell me what?
Well, his car was downtown being repaired, and he saw ours standing in the alley, and he was afraid the Halloween pranksters would hurt it, so he put it in his own garage.
That was nice of him. Baby ain't such a bad...
What? My own car? I let the air out of my own car?
Molly will be back in just a moment. Look down at your floors for a moment. Is there anything in your entire home that gets such hard wear? No wonder they need wax protection. No floor finish like a varnish, shellac, or paint can stand up forever against the constant attack of scuffing and scraping shoes and sharp heels. These finishes themselves need the protection of a tough material that can be quickly and easily renewed. And that material is Johnson's wax. Certain floor areas, such as halls and around doorways, get more wear than others. With Johnson's wax, these traffic areas can be touched up and re-waxed without waxing the entire floor. In addition to providing this money-saving protection, Johnson's wax gives you rich, mellow, beautiful floors that add charm to your entire home. With every application, this beauty increases, while your housework decreases, because waxed floors never need scrubbing, and they're easiest of all floors to keep clean. Ask your dealer for genuine Johnson's wax, paste or liquid, in the familiar red and yellow package.
Folks, we didn't really feel that way about Gildersleeve's party. We just wanted to give you an idea of what we think happens after one of our parties. Incidentally, Molly, there's one game we didn't play over there tonight.
What was that, dearie?
Pin the tail on the elephant.
You mean on the donkey?
Oh, no, Gildersleeve's a Republican.
Oh.
Good night.
Good night, all.
This is Harlow Wilcox, speaking for the makers of Johnson's Wax and Johnson's Self-Polishing Glow Coat, Racine, Wisconsin, inviting you all to be with us again next Tuesday night at this same time. Good night.
Heard on the program tonight were Are You Having Any Fun from George White's Scandals and Ding Dong the Witch is Dead from The Wizard of Oz. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
That was the Fibber McGee and Molly Show with Gildersleeve's Halloween Party, as originally heard October 24th, 1939. And with that wraps up hour number one. But on the other side of the break, we're going to hear from an episode based on one of the most, if not the most terrifying stories ever written, when Classic Radio Rewind returns right after these messages. Welcome back, everyone, to Classic Radio Rewind. Coming up next from the Mercury Theater on the Air is Orson Welles' adaptation of Bram Stoker's classic novel, Dracula. I'm sure many, if not all of you, are familiar with the premise of Dracula, but it's worth going over a few facts. This hour-long dramatization captures the eerie atmosphere of the Gothic tale, with Welles himself playing both Dracula and the narrator. The story follows Jonathan Harker, a young solicitor who travels to Transylvania to assist Count Dracula in a real estate transaction, only to discover that the Count is a vampire. As Dracula moves to London, a group of people, led by Dr. Van Helsing, work together to stop him from spreading his curse. The episode is notable for its chilling sound effects, atmospheric tension, and Welles's powerful voice performance, making it one of the most famous radio dramas in history. This is the full 1-hour episode from the Mercury Theater on the Air, with no intermission, so we'll see you on the other side of this scary tale. From July 11th, 1938, this is the Mercury Theater on the Air, starring Orson Welles with Dracula.
The Columbia Network takes pride in presenting Orson Welles in the first production of a unique new summer series by the Mercury Theater on the Air. single year, the first in the life of the Mercury Theater, Orson Welles has come to be the most famous name of our time in American drama. Says Collier's Magazine,
23-year-old Orson Welles threw a bombshell into Broadway.
Robert Benchley writes in the New Yorker,
the production of the Mercury is, I should say, just about perfect.
Time Magazine declares,
the brightest moon that has risen over Broadway in years. Welles should feel at home in the sky, for the sky is the only limit which his ambitions recognize.
And finally, the United Press remarked,
meteoric rise of Orson Welles' Mercury Theater continues unabated.
With 4 hit shows in its birth year, the Mercury might well close its door on a season unparalleled in Broadway history. But Mr. Welles has long been working on a project for a greater audience, the Broadways of the entire United States. The Columbia Network is proud to give Orson Welles the opportunity to bring to the air those same qualities of vitality and imagination that have made him the most talked-of theatrical director in America today. And it is this project which Columbia brings you this summer, the first time in its history that radio has ever extended such an invitation to an entire theatrical institution. But here is Orson Welles himself to tell you about it. The director of the Mercury Theater, the star and producer of these programs, Orson Welles.
Good evening. The Mercury Theater faces tonight a challenge and an opportunity for which we are grateful. We will present during the next 9 weeks many different kinds of stories. Stories of romance and adventure, biography, mystery, and human emotion. Stories by authors like Robert Louis Stevenson, Emile Zola, Dostoevsky, Edgar Allan Poe, and P.G. Wodehouse. In the cast tonight are Martin Gable, the Cassius of our production of Julius Caesar, and George Coulouris, who played Antony in that production and appeared also in our Shoemaker's Holiday and Heartbreak House, and other leading Mercury Theater players. We're starting off tonight with the best story of its kind ever written. You will find it in every representative library of classic English narratives. It is Bram Stoker's Dracula. The next time I speak to you, I am Dr. Arthur Seward. George Coulouris plays Jonathan Harker, and Martin Gable plays Dr. Van Helsing. It is Dr. Seward who tells the story, and so for the moment, goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you in Transylvania.
The Mercury Theater on the Air presents Orson Welles as Count Dracula in his own version of Bram Stoker's great novel, Dracula.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Arthur Seward. I'm here tonight to bear witness to the truth of certain events which you may find it hard to believe, but I ask you to believe them. I have here certain documents, telegrams, clippings from the press of the day, memoranda, and letters in various hands. All needless matters have been eliminated, so that a history almost at variance with the possibilities of contemporary belief may stand forth as simple fact. I present you first with excerpts from the private journal of Jonathan Harker.
I, Jonathan Harker, lawyer's clerk, article to Peter Hawkins, Esquire of Exeter, England, am writing this journal in the hope that if misfortune overtakes me, it may one day come to the eyes of those who love me. I set out from London on the last day of April to visit one of our clients in Eastern Europe. On May the 3rd, I arrived in Budapest and came after nightfall to Klausenburg on the borders of Transylvania. At Bistritz, there was a letter of welcome for me from our client, informing me that his carriage would await me at the Borgo Pass. It was signed Dracula.
Bukovina! Couch for Bukovina!
The road was rough, but still we seemed to fly over it with feverish haste. When it grew dark, there seemed to be some excitement among the passengers. They kept speaking to the driver and looking at me and urging him on to greater speed. The crazy coach rocked on its great leather springs. The mountains seemed to come nearer to us on either side. Coachman! Coachman! What is this? Where are we?
You're nearing your destination, young hare. This is the Borga Pass.
There were black, rolling clouds overhead, and in the air the heavy, oppressive sense of thunder. Now, we were through the pass.
The young hare is not expected after all.
You are early tonight, my friends.
A caleche with 4 horses had drawn up beside us.
Let me help you, sir.
The coachman smiled, and the lamplight fell on a hard-looking mouth with very red lips and sharp-looking teeth as white as ivory. We began to move. I looked back. The coach and its load of passengers had vanished from sight. We swept into the darkness of the pass. I struck a match. It was within a few minutes of midnight. And then a dog began to howl somewhere far down the road. The wind was rising. It moaned and whistled through the rocks, and the branches of the trees crashed together as we swept along. It grew colder and colder still, and fine powdery snow began to fall. The baying of wolves sounded nearer and nearer, as though they were closing round us from every side. We kept on ascending, always ascending. The howling of wolves was growing less. Presently, it ceased altogether. And just then, the moon broke through the black clouds. I saw around us a ring of wolves running alongside the carriage, in silence, with white teeth and lolling red tongues, with long sinewy limbs and shaggy hair.
Welcome to my house.
I must have fallen asleep. The carriage had pulled up in the courtyard of a vast ruined castle. The coachman was nowhere to be seen.
Welcome to my house. Come freely, go safely, and leave something of the happiness you bring.
Count Dracula?
I am Dracula.
His face was strong, very strong, aquiline. The mouth, so far as I could see under the heavy mustache, was fixed and rather cruel-looking, with peculiarly sharp white teeth.
You hear them, Mr. Harker?
The wolves?
The children of the night, as you say, Mr. Harker. The wolves. Listen. Come now. There are many things you must tell me tomorrow. Of England and of the estate there you have purchased for me.
Yes.
The estate is called Carfax, I believe.
Yes, that is so.
But now I will detain you no longer. You will find your room in readiness. And I advise you not to leave it during the night.
This castle is on the very edge of a terrible precipice. A stone falling from the window would fall 1,000 feet without touching anything. I explored. There are doors everywhere, and all of them locked. The door to the great hall, the door to the courtyard, every door in the castle is closed, bolted against me. The castle of Dracula is a prison, and I am a prisoner. The next night, I could not sleep. So after a few hours, I got up and, lighting my candle, I placed my shaving mirror on the dressing table and was just beginning to shave.
You seem restless, Mr. Harker.
I had not seen him, although the reflection of the glass covered the whole room behind me. I turned to the glass again. Count Dracula was close to me, and I could see him over my shoulder, but there was no reflection of him in the mirror. It was blank. I started and cut myself on the side of the throat. The blood was trickling down my neck. Count, my mirror!
The blood! The blood! Wipe the blood from your face, Mr. Harker. And take care how you cut yourself. It is more dangerous than you think in this country.
When I awoke, I found most of my things were gone. My passport, my notes, my letter of credit. I could find no trace of them anywhere. And my door is locked from the outside. June 20th. There is work of some kind going on in the castle. Now and then I hear the faraway muffled sound of mattock and spade. And last night, the second of the predated letters which Dracula made me write, the second of that series which is to blot out the very traces of my existence from the earth, went forth. Count Dracula.
Yes, my young friend.
Well, what of me? When am I free? When can I leave this place?
Free? Mr. Harker, you're always free. You want to leave? Would you like to leave tonight?
Yes, in God's name.
My dear young friend, not an hour shall you wait in my house against your will. Come, follow me. The door seems to be bolted. How strange. The door is locked.
Well, in God's name, open it.
As you will, Mr. Harker. You English have a proverb which is very close to my heart. Welcome the coming, speed the parting guest. Good night, Mr. Harker.
Shut the door! Shut the door! I tell you, shut the door! Shut!
The door is shut, Mr. Harker. I take it you will remain.
Morning, June the 30th. These may be the last words I ever write in this diary. Oh, God preserve my sanity. I have never seen Count Dracula by day. At sunrise, at the first cockcrow, he is gone. I do not understand these things. I only know that the wolves obey him, and that he is a man with hair on the palm of his hands, with sharp teeth, and no blood in his face. He casts no shadow. He cannot be seen in a glass. And he moves like a bat across the sheer face of the castle walls. He eats no food and is mortally afraid of the crucifix. As I write this, I hear in the courtyard the rolling of heavy wheels and the cracking of whips. And there is in the passageway below a sound of heavy boxes being set down. Boxes shaped like coffins. And I know what they hold. The boxes are filled with holy earth from the chapel beneath the castle. It is the last box being nailed down. And now I hear the heavy feet tramping again. The door's shut. The chains rattle. In the courtyard and down the rocky way, the roll of heavy wheels, the crack of whips. Help! 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 The wagons have gone. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Seward. Mr. Harker's journal terminates at this point. I now present in evidence a clipping dated August 8th of that year from the Yorkshire Telegraph from our correspondent in Whitby. One of the greatest and suddenest storms on record was experienced here today. The weather has been somewhat sultry, but Saturday evening was fine. The band was playing. The piers were crowded with holidaymakers. The wind fell away entirely during the evening, and there was a dead calm. There were but few lights at sea. The only sail noticeable was a foreign schooner under full canvas, which was seemingly going westward. A little after midnight came a strange sound from over the sea, and high overhead the air began to carry a strange, faint, hollow booming. Then, without warning, the tempest broke. And there, with all sails set, was the foreign schooner rushing with terrific speed toward the shore. A searchlight was turned on her. And there, lashed to the helm, was a corpse with drooping head which swayed horribly to and fro at each motion of the ship. A moment later, she crashed. And then a strange thing was seen. At the very instant she touched, a huge dog sprang up on deck from below and, running forward, jumped from the bow onto the sand and, making straight up the east cliff toward the graveyard, vanished into the night. The Coast Guard, going aboard at dawn, found the dead man fastened to a spoke of the wheel. Tightly clutched in one hand was a crucifix. The man must have been dead for quite 2 days. In the pocket of the dead man's coat was found a bottle carefully corked, containing a roll of paper. This proved to be an addendum to the ship's log. There was found on board only a small amount of cargo, and that of a most unusual nature. Apparently, the ship carried nothing but earth. Common earth. Packed away in wooden boxes, shaped much like coffins.
Log of the Demeter. Russian flag, Black Sea to Whitby. July 6th. Finished taking in cargo, a queer cargo, boxes of earth. At noon, set sail, east wind, fresh. Crew, 4 hands, 2 mates, cook, and myself, captain. July 11th. Entered Bosporus. At dark, passed through Dardanelles. Mate reported in morning that one of crew, Valjoden, was missing.
Took larboard watch 8 bells last night. He was relieved by Chelich. Never came to his
There's
bunk.
something aboard this ship.
No. Don't laugh, Captain. In the rain last night.
Oh?
A tall, thin man go up companionway and along the deck forward and disappeared. When I go to the bow, no one. And the hatchways all closed.
July 22nd. Rough weather last 3 days. All hands busy with sails. No time be frightened. Past Gibraltar and out through straits. All well. July 24th. Last night, another hand was lost. Disappeared.
By Chelichev. Leave off watch midnight. Then we never see him again. Double watch now. I don't take watch alone no more. Double watch. Double watch.
July 29th. Had single watch tonight as crew too tired to double. When morning come...
Hey! Hey, below! Banoisin! Banoisin! Is Banoisin below? Banoisin is gone!
Monkey! Banoisin's gone like the others. Like all the others.
The mate and I have agreed to go armed henceforth, July 30th. Last night, we are nearing England. Weather fine. All sails set.
Captain! Captain! The man in the watch in the stairs was missing! Both missing!
Now, only self and mate and 1 hand left to work ship. August 3rd. 2 days of fog and not a sail sighted. At midnight, I went to relieve the man at wheel, and when I got to it, found no one there.
It's here! I know it now. I saw it. Like a man, tall and thin and ghastly pale. It was in the bows looking out. I gave it the knife, and my knife went through it.
What?
Empty as air.
What is it? What are you talking about?
It's here, and I'll find it. It's in the hold. In one of those boxes of earth. I'll unscrew them one by one and see. And see.
He is mad. Stark raving mad. It's no use my trying to stop him. He can't hurt those big boxes. They are invoiced as common earth.
Down in the hold. I know the secret now. The sea will save me from him. That's all that's left. That's all that's left.
August 4th. I am all alone on my ship. And still the fog. I dared not go below. I dared not leave the helm. So here all night I stayed. And in the dimness of the night, I saw it. I saw him. God forgive me, but the mate was right to jump overboard. It was better to die like a sailor in the blue water. But I am captain, and I must not leave my ship. I shall tie my hands to the wheel when my strength begins to fail. And along with them I shall tie that which it dare not touch, my crucifix. I am growing weaker, and the night is coming on. God and the Blessed Virgin help a poor, ignorant soul trying to do his duty.
You are listening to the Columbia Network's first presentation in a new summer series of unique dramatic productions featuring Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air. In just a moment, our story of Bram Stoker's Dracula will continue. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
WABC, New York.
We continue now with Columbia Network's presentation of Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air in Dracula.
Telegram, Seward, Perfleet, to Van Helsing, Amsterdam. Lucy Westenra in alarming condition. Cannot diagnose. Come at once. Seward.
Telegram, Van Helsing, Amsterdam, to Seward, Perfleet. I'm on my way to you. Please arrange the examine patient immediately my arrival, Van Helsing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I must now explain that 6 months before the events recorded here, I had become engaged to a young lady, Lucy Westenra. We were to have been married in the spring. My old teacher, Professor Van Helsing, arrived at 4 the next afternoon. I took him at once to Lucy's house. She lay in a bed asleep. She was ghastly, chalkily pale. The red seemed to have gone even from her lips and gums, and the bones of her face stood out.
Young miss is bad. Very bad. She must have blood or she will die. Yet she is not anemic. The qualitative analysis of her blood gives quite normal condition. It is strange. I do not like to think how strange. Look! My God, her throat, look!
The black velvet band that she always wore had dragged up a little and showed a red mark on her throat. Just over the external jugular vein were 2 punctures, not large, but not wholesome looking. The edges were white and worn looking. Well? Well, what is it, Professor? What's wrong with her? Speak frankly. You can tell me the worst.
I wish I could, Seward. I wish I could. But I do not dare.
But won't you tell me anything?
I will tell you this. Your young lady is in a danger greater than death. You must believe me. If you leave her for 1 moment and harm befalls, you will not sleep easy thereafter.
September 8th. I sat up all night with Lucy.
Arthur, I'm afraid.
Night, dear. You can sleep tonight. I'm here watching you. Nothing can happen. And I promise if any sign of bad dreams, if I see anything, I'll wake you at once.
You will? Will you really? Then I'll sleep.
I sat all night by her bedside. And she did not wake once during the night, although a boughs or a bat or something flapped almost angrily against the window panes. September 11th. Still quoting from my private journals. It was at this time that I received a message from Perfleet. It read, 10:20 p.m., St. John's Hospital, serious complications, case 891, your immediate presence, London, imperative. I had no choice. Sometime later, a paper was found among Lucy Westenra's belongings.
I write this and leave it to be seen so that no one may by any chance get into trouble through me. I went to bed as usual, taking care that the window was closed, as Dr. Van Helsing had directed. About 2 a.m, I awakened. I went to the door, called out, "Arthur! Arthur!" There was no answer. Something's broken the window. I'm in the room, alone. I dare not go out. The house seems empty. The air is full of specks, floating, circling in the draught from the window. And the light burns blue, dim. What am I to do? Something very sweet and very bitter all around me. And I seem sinking into deep water. And there's a singing in my ears.
You shall be flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood.
September 12th. Late. Only resolution and habit can let me make an entry tonight. We found her sprawled on the floor, and there was a draft in the room from the broken window. Her throat was bare, showing the 2 wounds, looking horribly white and mangled.
We are too late, my friend. We have failed. God's will be done.
She's dying.
Yes. She's dying. Stay beside her. It will make much difference, mark me, whether she dies conscious or in her sleep.
It was late in the afternoon before she opened her eyes.
Arthur, oh, my love, I'm so glad you've come.
I took her hand and knelt beside her. Her breath came and went like a tired, peaceful child's. And then the light from the setting sun fell on her face, and then, insensibly, a strange change came over her. Her eyes grew suddenly dull and hard. Her breathing was heavy. The mouth opened, and the pale gums drawn back made the teeth look large and sharp.
Arthur, oh, my love, I'm so glad you've come. Kiss me. Bend down and kiss me.
Not for your life. Not for your living soul and hers. Lucy!
She's dead.
Poor girl. There's peace for her at last. The end.
Not so.
It is only the beginning. Wait and see.
The Westminster Gazette, September 25th. A Hempstead mystery. The Kensington horror, the stabbing woman, and the woman in black are vividly recalled to mind by a series of events that have taken place recently in the neighborhood of Hempstead. Several cases have occurred of young children straying from home or failing to return from their playing on the heath. In all these cases, the children have given as their excuse that they have been with a beautiful lady who offered them chocolates. In each case, the child was found to be slightly torn or wounded in the throat. The wound seemed such as might be made by a rat or a small dog.
The Hempstead horror. Another child injured by the beautiful lady. We have just received intelligence that another child missed last night was only discovered late in the morning. It has the same tiny wound in the throat. Well, Stuart, what do you think of that? You mean to tell me, my friend, that you still have no suspicion as to what poor Lucy died of?
Nervous prostration, following great loss and waste of blood.
And how was the blood lost or wasted? You are a clever man, my friend, and a good doctor. But you do not believe that there are things that you cannot understand. You are wrong, Stuart. Are you aware of all the mysteries of life and death? Can you tell me why in the pampas there are bats that come at night and open the veins of cattle and horses and suck dry those veins? How in some islands of the western seas there are bats which hang on trees all day, and then when the sailors sleep on deck because it is hot, flit down on them, and then in the morning are found dead men as white as Miss Lucy was?
I understand none of these things.
After tonight, Stuart, if you dare to come with me, perhaps then you will understand.
September 29th. Before dawn. Now it is done. And I would sooner die 1,000 deaths than live again through what I did this night.
We will spend the night, you and I, here, in this churchyard where Miss Lucy is buried. We enter the tomb.
And then?
We open the coffin. You shall yet be convinced.
Take care, Van Helsing.
Miss Lucy is dead, is it not so? Then there can be no wrong to her. But if she is not dead...
With some difficulty, we found the Westenra tomb. I took up my place behind a yew tree on one side of the tomb, Van Helsing on the other. I was chilled and frightened. Suddenly, I saw something moving between two yew trees, a dim white figure which held something at its breast. The figure stopped. I could not see the face, for it was bent down over what I saw to be a fair-haired child. There was a sharp little cry, such as a child gives in sleep, or a dog as it lies before the fire and dreams. Then the thing saw us. She drew back with an angry snarl. The lovely blood-stained mouth grew to an open square. If ever a face meant death, I saw it at that moment. Then suddenly she turned and vanished in the direction of the tomb.
Child is not harmed. We leave him in a safe place where the police find him. There's more to do. Come.
Now we were in the tomb. There in the coffin, the thing lay. Like a nightmare of Lucy, the pointed teeth, the blood-stained mouth. Van Helsing never looked up. From his bag, he took out a book, his operating knives, a heavy hammer, and a round wooden stake, some 2 or 3 inches thick, sharpened to a fine point, and hardened over a fire.
Stuart! The life of this unhappy woman is just begun. Then she become what you call undead. There comes with the change the curse of immortality. She cannot die, but must go on age after age, adding new victims. Because all that die from the preying of the undead become themselves undead and prey on others. So the circle goes on, ever widening as the ripples from a stone thrown in the water. But if this lady, this undead, be made to rest as true dead, then the soul of the poor lady whom we love shall be again free.
Tell me, what am I to do?
Take this stake in your left hand, the hammer in your right.
Yes.
Place the point over the heart.
Yes.
Then, when I begin the prayer for the dead, in God's name strike.
Oh.
Are you ready? Now, Domine Jesu Christe, Fili de vivi, qui in manus tuas ex voluntate Patri.
On the morning of July 11th, a man was found on the border of Transylvania. He talked wildly of wolves and boxes of earth and blood, and gave his name as Jonathan Harker. In the hospital at Klausenberg, he improved sufficiently to make possible his removal to England. I'm still quoting from my own personal papers. But there his condition remained so serious that he was committed for observation to a private ward in my hospital at Purfleet. Here he did so well that in 3 weeks he was completely recovered. It was during this time that his wife, Minna Harker, brought to the attention of Dr. Van Helsing and myself the journal that her husband had kept while a prisoner in the castle of a certain Count Dracula in Transylvania. I have before me the record of a meeting that took place in my study in Purfleet, transcribed by Minna Harker.
October 1st. Meeting began soon after 8. Jonathan next to me. Dr. Seward opposite to Van Helsing at the head of the table.
My friends, there are such things as vampires. Had I known at first what now I know, one so precious life had been spared to many of us who love her. The vampire which is amongst us is of himself so strong that he can direct all the elements, the storm, the fog, the thunder, He can command all the meaner things, the moth and bat, the owl and the fox and the wolf. How, then, are we to begin our strike to destroy him? How shall we find his place? And having found it, how can we destroy? My friends, it is a terrible task that we undertake. To fail here is not mere life or death. If we fail, we become as him. Foul things of the night, as him. What do you say?
I answer for myself.
Count me in. I'm with you.
The professor laid a small golden crucifix on the table. We took hands, and our solemn pact was made.
My friends, we too are not without strength. The vampire flourishes on the blood of the living. Without this, he cannot live. He throws no shadow. He makes no reflection in a mirror. He can transform himself to a wolf, to a bat. He can come on moonlight rays as elemental dust. He can see in the dark. He can do all these things. Yet he is not free. His power ceases at the coming of the day. Then, until night, he must remain in the shape in which he finds himself, and except in his coffin home, in those earth boxes, he cannot rest. When we can confine him in his coffin, then, my friends, if we obey what we know, we will destroy him.
At that moment, something flapped wildly against the window. Then
Did you hit it?
I don't know.
we looked out of the window. Against the black sky, we could see nothing.
Data in our possession. From the Count's castle in Transylvania to Whitby came 50 boxes of earth. All of these, to our certain knowledge, were delivered at Carfax. Recently, 12 of these boxes have been removed. First step, ascertain whether all the rest remain in the deserted house next door or whether any more have been removed. We must trace each of these boxes and sterilize the earth with holy water so that he can no longer seek safety in it. And we must hurry.
The events of the next few days are described in Jonathan Harker's journal.
October 2nd, 5 a.m. Just returned from the empty house. Left Mina here at home. Well, we've done our work at Carfax. The place was filthy. The air stagnant and foul and alive with rats. We counted the boxes. Only 38 of them. And over each one, the professor went through his same mysterious work. It was dawn when we got back. I found Mina asleep. She looks paler than usual.
October 2nd. Soon after they left, I fell asleep. I remember hearing the sudden barking of the dogs. And then there was silence. I got up and looked out of the window. There was a thin streak of white mist moving across the grass along the wall of the house. It dawned on me that the air in the room was heavy and dank and cold. The gaslight came only like a tiny red spark through the fog. I could see through my eyelids. The mist grew thicker and thicker. Then, as I looked, the spark divided and seemed to shine on me through the fog like two red eyes.
You shall be flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, blood of my blood.
October 2nd, 8 p.m. We're on the track. 12 boxes were delivered last week to an empty house at 347 Piccadilly.
My dear friends, until the sun sets tonight, Dracula must retain whatever form he now has. We have this day to hunt out all his lairs and sterilize them. Then he will have no place where he can move and hide. But we have only until sunset.
The house in Piccadilly was empty. Like the one at Purfleet, the same sickening smell was in the air. On the table, we found a clothes brush, a brush, and a comb, and a basin. The latter containing dirty water, which was reddened as if with blood.
The boxes are back here. 8, 9, 10. 11?
Only 11.
There's a 12th box somewhere.
Gentlemen, it is after 6. The sun is setting. We've no time to lose. He will return at any moment. Open the boxes.
Quiet. Listen.
Be ready. It is he! The window!
You waste your bullets, gentlemen. You think you baffle me? You with your pale faces all in a row like sheep in a butcher's. You think you've left me without a place to rest. But I have more. And time is on my side. The one you love is mine already. I have known her. Already my mark is on her throat. Flesh of my flesh. Blood of my blood. She is with me always. Over land or sea.
October 4th morning. Another meeting in the study of poetry.
We must find that last remaining box, gentlemen. We must find it. As long as that earth exists impure, as long as there remains one place of refuge for Dracula, there is no safety and no peace for any soul in England.
And for the undead, never peace so long as he lives. Blood of my blood. Blood of my blood.
Mina! How do you know that's what you're quiet? Quiet.
With me always, over land and sea.
Mina, darling, how did you know that Dracula said those...
I don't know. The words just came. Strange. There are times when somehow I feel that I'm with him.
At sunset?
Yes. Just at sunset. And again at sunrise. Dr. Van Helsing, if I could... If at that time you...
Have you the courage?
Courage for what? What do you mean?
Dr. Van Helsing here will question me.
I will question her, yes. In a state of hypnosis. The one you love is already mine, he said. She is with me always, over land or sea. Ah, Count Dracula. Perhaps she will betray you if she is really with you, this one we love. Who knows? If she is really with you over land or sea.
Blood of my blood.
Mina.
Yes.
Answer me, Mina. Are you with him?
Yes, I am with him.
Where are you?
I do not know. It is all dark.
What do you hear?
The lapping of water. I can hear it on the outside.
Then you are on a ship.
Yes.
What else do you hear?
There is the creaking of an anchor
What are
chain.
you doing?
Still. Oh, so still. It is like death. It's like death.
Here's a report from Matson Peabody, shipbrokers. Dated October 5th, according to Lloyd's list, the only sailing ship that left for the Black Sea yesterday was the Tsarina Katrina, bound for Varna. Some hours before she sailed, a man came alongside, all in black, driving a cart with a great box in it. This he lifted down single-handed and carried below. No one remembers having seen him after that, as heavy mist came up over Doolittle Dock until sailing time. The rest of London Harbor remained completely clear.
Our plans are made. The average sailing time from London to the Black Sea is 3 weeks. We can travel overland to the same place in 3 days. We shall be there waiting for him when he arrives.
October 15th, arrive Varna about 5 o'clock. Mina seems stronger. Every morning before sunrise and just before sunset, she speaks to Van Helsing in a trance.
Are you with him, Mina? Tell me, are you with him?
I am with him.
What can you see?
Nothing. All is dark.
What can you hear?
I can hear the waves lapping against the ship, and the water rushing by. The wind is high. I can hear it in the shrouds, and the bow throws back the foam.
So, the Tsarina Katrina is still at sea, hastening on her way to Vrana. The Count cannot cross running water, so he cannot leave the ship without being observed.
What do you hear, Mina?
Lapping waves and rushing water. Darkness and wind.
A whole week of waiting. Daily telegrams from Lloyd's.
Not yet reported. Not yet reported. Not yet reported.
Rushing water and creaking mast. Darkness and wind.
October 24th. Telegram. Lloyd's, London to Harker. Tsarina Katrina reported this morning from Dardanelles. Lloyd's, London to Harker, October 28th.
Tsarina Katrina in heavy fog reported entering Galatz Harbor at 1 o'clock today.
Galatz! Galatz is 38 hours from here, and the first train for Galatz leaves at 6:30 tomorrow morning. My friends, we have lost.
I am with him. I can see nothing. I can hear men's voices calling, and the roll and creak of oars and rowlocks. I can feel the air blowing upon me.
October 29th, evening. We are due between 2 and 3 in the morning, but already at Bucharest we are 3 hours late.
Something's going out. I can feel it pass me like a cold wind. I can hear far off confused sounds. Men talking in strange tongues. Here's falling water and the howling of wolves. There's another sound. A queer sound.
Like what? Speak, Mina. Speak, I command you. I command you to speak.
Arrived in Galatz. Saw Captain Tsarina Katrina.
A man come aboard with an order an hour before sunup to receive a box for a party by the name of Dracula. That is Pepper's. Emmanuel Hildesheim, his name was.
Mr. Hildesheim?
Yes.
You unloaded the box yesterday.
I gave to Krylov by order. Krylov.
Mr. Krylov?
Krylov. This morning they find him dead inside the churchyard of St. Peter. They find him dead with his throat torn open.
October 30th evening. There are 2 ways in which Dracula can get back to his own place. By land or by water.
We've examined the map and find the most likely river is the Sereth.
You and I, Seward, will charter a steam launch and follow him up the river. Van Helsing and Mina will take the train to Veresti, and from there they will
From there we shall go in the track where Harker went, from Bistritz over to Borgo. If you have not caught him before, we shall be awaiting Dracula there.
October 31st. We arrived at Veresti at noon, Van Helsing and I. Got a carriage here, and we start in an hour. Our enemy is still on the river.
October 31st. We can run at good speed up the river at night. There's plenty of water, and the banks are wide apart.
November 1st, evening. No news all day. We hear that a big boat went up the river before us, going at more than usual speed.
November 4th. All day driving. The country gets wilder as we go. By morning, we shall reach the Borgo Pass.
November the 4th, evening. We've left the launch. We've got horses, and we follow on the track along the river. We are armed.
Look! Quick! There they are now! Heading west!
With the dawn, we could see the Slovaks some miles before us, dashing along the river with their wagon. On it is the great box.
Late in the afternoon, we reached the Borgo Pass.
Van Helsing! Look!
We could see a long way all around us. Far off, beyond the white waste of snow, was the river like a black ribbon curling. Between us and the river, not afar off, came a group of men, mounted Slovaks hurrying along. In the midst of them was a wagon which swept from side to side. On the wagon was a great box.
Look!
We see two horsemen following fast, coming up from the south. Stewart and Harker, the Slovaks with their heavy wagon, are losing their ground. Now the horsemen are not more than a mile behind. Now the wagon is quite close to us. We can see the great box swaying crazily. Now they are almost upon us. Now has happened a strange thing. The wagon smashed into a great rock bed in the snow, lost its front wheels, and turned over on its side, jammed against the stone. The horses tore loose from their traces and bolted, and the Slovaks scatter and vanish after them. Then silence. Silence like comes after ringing a bell.
Look. His face.
It is Dracula, sprawled out stiff and twisted in the smear of his own holy earth. The box, in falling, has emptied the dirt onto the snow. His face is old-looking. The skin is like paper. Dr. Seward, there's no time. Look at the sun.
Sunset.
In 1 minute, there's darkness, and he is forever lost to us. Have you the stake of wood and the hammer?
Here.
Now, Seward, pray for us. Kneel down and pray. Harker, the stake of wood over his heart. Be not afraid, Harker. Do not look into his eyes. The hammer. Now, Harker, strike. Strike!
Flesh of my flesh. Guilt of my guilt. Death of my death. Speak and be manifest in the instant of your master's peril. Elements of darkness, rain, evil winds, mist, and mold, and tempest.
Strike!
The others couldn't. But somehow I can hear him speaking behind his eyes.
Claw, wing, tooth, scale, tissue of flesh, death of my death, dead and undead. The hand of the living is over your master. Console him, my children. This instant is no longer than the space between two heartbeats. But the night is not here, and I am lonely. Come to your master, my children. Beguile him now in the instant of his peril. Beguile him with the sound of your names. Claw, wing, tooth, scale, tissue of flesh.
Strike, Harker, strike!
There is one very dear to me who has not answered. My love, Mina. There is less than a minute between me and the night. You must speak for me. You must speak with my heart.
Give them to me! Jonathan, give them to me! The stake of wood and the hammer!
I shall never forget that moment. The look on poor Mina's face as she stood there, the angry scar standing out on her throat, her eyes like living coals in the last red of the sunset. She had torn the stake and the hammer out of my hands with the strength of an animal.
Mina, do you know what you've done, woman? You know what you've done to us? You've released him. The evil is free.
Look! The sun! As we looked down at Dracula, the eyes saw the sinking sun, and the hate in them turned to triumph.
Flesh of my flesh. Come to me, my love. Come into the night and the darkness. You have served me well, my love. My bride, my...
Ladies and gentlemen, all the evidence in this case is now before you. I've added nothing. And to the best of my knowledge, I've omitted nothing that might help to throw light on the extraordinary events of the year 1891, which culminated on that terrible evening in the Borgo Pass. There remains only this one last report.
When Mina Harker seized the stake and hammer from her husband, I believe she was under some form of hypnosis.
She herself remembers nothing. But whatever influence was at work on her, she must, at the last moment, have rejected it. For at the exact instant the sun disappeared, it was Mina Harker who drove the stake through the heart of the thing that called itself Dracula. At that same instant, even as we looked, the wound on the side of her throat was no more. As for Dracula, before the scream of the creature had died from our ears, the whole body crumbled into dust and passed from our sight. In the final moment of dissolution, there was in the face a look of peace, such as I never could have imagined might have rested there.
Tonight's production of Dracula by Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater was the first of 9 CBS broadcasts in which this brilliant group will bring to life a series of great narratives, all presented in the immediacy of the first-person singular. In presenting them each Monday evening at this time during the summer season, the Columbia Network is bringing a complete theatrical producing company to the air for the first time. In the cast tonight, Dr. Van Helsing was played by Martin Gable, Jonathan Harker by George Coulouris, Dr. Seward by Orson Welles, the Russian Captain by Ray Collins, the Mate by Carl Swenson, Mina Harker by Agnes Moorehead, Lucy Westenra by Elizabeth Farrer, and Count Dracula by Orson Welles. Bernard Herrmann composed the original music and conducted. Dan Seymour speaking. Davidson Taylor supervised the production for the Columbia Network. And now here is the director to tell you about next week's Mercury Theater production, Mr. Orson Welles.
Ladies and gentlemen, what are your favorite stories? If there is one you're particularly fond of and would like to hear on the air, will you please write me about it? Next week, the Mercury Theater is going to tell you Robert Louis Stevenson's exciting yarn about pirates and the sea, Treasure Island. Until then, just in case Count Dracula has left you a little apprehensive, one word of comfort. When you go to bed tonight, don't worry. Put out the lights and go to sleep. Oh, it's all right. You can rest peacefully. That's just a sound effect. There. Over there in the shadow, see? It's nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. I think it's nothing. But always remember, ladies and gentlemen, there are werewolves. There are vampires. Such things do exist.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
That was the Mercury Theater on the air starring Orson Welles with Dracula as originally heard July 11th, 1938. More from Classic Radio Rewind in just a moment. Welcome back to Classic Radio Rewind. A programming reminder coming up in just over 2 weeks is Old Time Radio USA's annual Halloween Spooktacular. Halloween Spooktacular is a 3-day event that will kick off Tuesday, October 29th at 6 a.m. Eastern Time with the complete 52-part George Edwards serial of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Later in the day on the 29th, we'll continue with a 12-hour marathon of The Witch's Tales. The next day, on October 30th, Old Time Radio USA will celebrate the 86th anniversary of the Mercury Theater on the air broadcast of The War of the Worlds. A long-standing tradition of Old Time Radio USA is to broadcast in a back-to-back format this episode all day long. and then wrapping up the Halloween tradition on October 31st with a 24-hour marathon of Lights Out. So, mark your calendars for this 3-day annual Halloween old-time radio event. One additional important note, we've made an important programming update to the WOTR radio network. Radio Mystery Theater USA has been rebranded to better serve you, our valued listeners. After careful consideration and recognizing the limited interest in the original format, we've decided to shift gears in order to bring you an even more thrilling experience. Introducing Nightmare Radio USA, your new home for spine-chilling sci-fi, heart-pounding thrillers, and hair-raising horror shows that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Tune in and let the nightmares begin, only on Nightmare Radio USA. Nightmare Radio USA can be found wherever you listen to your favorite WOTR radio network stations. And with that, brings this edition of Classic Radio Rewind to a close. Join us next week as we wrap up this month's salute to Halloween favorites from the golden age of radio. Until then, from Classic Radio Rewind and the WOTR radio network, this is Barry Slinker saying goodbye for now.
Classic Radio Rewind is a production of the WOTR Radio Network. For more Classic Radio Rewind, and to listen to any of the WOTR Radio Network stations, go to www.wotrradionetwork.com.